Hi guys. Okay, so it's been a while since I did a video blog, and here I am. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of those wonderful things. My blog today is called Am I Actually Wearing Pants? And I did that really to just kind of draw you in. I will give the answer when I'm done. But I also did it to bring some humor. I feel like right now with everything going on, we're all dealing with a lot of things. We're all dealing with a lot of anxiety and panic and things like that. And I just, I'm hoping that by doing this video blog that people become a little bit more at peace or, sorry, I'm just going to move that up a little bit, at peace or can maybe take a breath in this craze that's happening right now. I kind of want to give my opinion on it. It is just my opinion. It is not to start a war or to cause any controversy. I am literally I just want to bring some light, shed some light, and hopefully by the end of my video you can take a breath and go, you know what, it's all going to be okay. So obviously, with the coronavirus and everything going on, there's so many things being said in social media, on the media, through the media. Some of them are full truth, some of them are half truth, some of them are partial truth, some of them are false information completely. The only thing we can be certain about, seriously, today is the lack of toilet paper. That's about the only thing that we are guaranteed is the truth because we're all experiencing it. So I'm going to give kind of my opinion on what I think is happening. Like a cell phone, I think that as a human race, so all of us, the whole entire world, not just Canada, not just the US, not just China or any other, country, Italy that we're hearing about, the hub that we're hearing about. I feel like as the human race, so much like a cell phone can be put back to factory settings, just like the way you got it. And then you can add new photos and you can sell it or, what have you. And it's just right back to factory setting. And I think I talk a lot about the universe and about God, and I have a strong faith and I have a strong connection with God. That's who I call my maker. And I believe that this is his way of hitting the reset button. And I say that because yesterday I was sitting in meditation and was just asking for some answers. Yesterday was a tough day for me. I have other businesses, that I'm involved in that are being very, very, very affected by this. And so I was quite emotional yesterday. It was a bit of a crash for me. And so I sat in meditation in a very strong prayer and I just said, can you show me something? Like, give me just a titch of something. And I just saw this hand hit literally like the Staples button. It was like a reset button. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna run with this for a bit. So I continued to go through my prayer, my meditation. And then when I came out of it, I did some writing. And I firmly believe that as a human race, this is our second chance. And I know right now it's panic and it's frenzy and this is the end, or this is, what have you. And we've all kind of faced those things, whether it was in Y2K or it was during some other form of pandemic, or it was in 2012 when the end of the Mayan calendar was coming in. And, we kind of, as a human race, we panic and we go into this state of frenzy, and it's almost a dog eat dog world. And I don't mean that negatively, and like I say, I do not want this to cause controversy, so please just know this is just my opinion. But as a human race as a whole, I think, we are very much taught from a very young age that it's work hard, make money, keep up with the Joneses. Like, we're all trying to do our part to be better than the next. And I think as a human race, we need to kind of humble ourselves as a whole, the whole entire world. We need to humble ourselves. We need to reconnect as humans, as beings, as souls, as people who we're energy. We're balls of energy that are being very selfish, and we're keeping our energy to ourselves. And I think this is God's way of saying, nope, reset, end of story. you know what, we're going to take you back to factory settings. And as a whole entire race, human race, as a whole entire world, we are going to have to rebuild and build this world and this planet and heal Mother Earth as a whole. This isn't one person's job. This isn't one company's job. This isn't a group of people's job. This is us as the human race. And I think often we get very disconnected with each other. I live in a smaller town. It's not as small as it used to be, but it's definitely smaller. And it's very hard when you go into a grocery store. A lot of people don't smile at each other. They don't say hi anymore. You know, we're just like, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. We're always in a rush. We're not taking the time to say hello to our fellow neighbor. I've lived in my community for 2 years, in my house for 2 years, and I have never actually spoken to anybody on my block. I don't know that I've even seen them, truthfully. And I that makes me sad, because as a race, we are just always so much in a hurry. And I think that with, you know, schools shutting down and businesses closing and closing their doors momentarily, and offices saying work from home, and people not being able to go to work because their kids are now being homeschooled because all of our schools are closed. I think that this is going to allow us to reconnect in a very strange way, but I firmly believe that. I'm a single mom of one son, and there's times he comes home from school and I'm walking out the door, whether it's to go work with my students, or it's to go see a client, or a client's walking in the door when he's walking in the door. And it's like, you know what, Parker, your dinner's on the table. I love you. We'll chat when I'm done. We don't sit anymore and just be with people. We're always on our phones. We're always tapping or clicking on something. We can have phone conversations. We're just always distracted. And I think that this is the universe, God's way of saying, as a whole, we need to become more in contact with each other. So yes, as we go through this school shutdown, it scares me a little bit because my son is in grade 7. They do not do math like I used to in grade 7. So I will teach him how to carry the 1 and find Z. And hopefully it makes sense to him the way I teach it to him. However, I think that it's also, our way of sitting at the kitchen table and talking about what's happening in today's society, pulling us off of social media, pulling us out of that, watching the news, talking about bigger things, sitting down and playing games, really just connecting with each other. And that's whether that's with your spouse, your children. What it's doing is it's halting us from our regular life, which I think all of us need right now. Because if we're being honest, I think that we are sitting in a pretty greedy place as a race. And it's who's better, the Americans or the Canadians, who's, more intelligent, the Japanese or the Chinese, who's bringing in better technology, who's going to get the new cell phone, who's going to have this, what's going to have that, what kind of clothes are our kids wearing, how much money do their parents make, where do they live in a big house, do they live in a small house? There's so much judgment. And I think that this is the way that our world is going to reconnect as a human race, and we're going to build from ground zero, from ground up. And I feel like we're going to build equally. Yes, there's going to be people out there who have more money, who can provide more monetarily in regards to rebuilding. There's going to be some of us like myself that want to just bring peace and help people walk through this journey of frenzy and panic and fear. There's going to be people, we can all help in different ways. But I think if we all started our factory settings, which I believe this is a reset, I think that we all have the ability to grow equally as a world, not just as a country, not just as a continent, but as the whole entire world. And as we rebuild and we either, we find a vaccination or we find a cure for this, or we continue to move forward, if we are rebuilding and reconnecting and speaking to each other and really connecting with our fellow humans, I believe that as a world, we can get through anything. I also believe that because of this shutdown, there's less people driving, there's less factories running, there's less toxins and pollutions being put into our earth. And so I think in turn, Mother Earth is going to be able to heal during this transition, which will allow us for a little bit more peace. I went out the other day and I found Parker and I went grocery shopping, and it was eerie, and the energy was eerie, and you literally could see people almost shaking. And I don't know if it's fear-based or panic, but to look at someone and smile at them and say, hey, how's it going? And not bring up that virus right away. You know, so many people are like, oh my gosh, did you hear about the schools closing? Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you? You know, we've just stopped communicating. And I think it's important for us to reach out and to say to people, how are you? Do you need anything? Maybe monetarily I can't help you, but if you need me to pray for you, or you need me to do a meditation on you, or you want me to pull, you know, and bring some peace and do an energy transfer, I think that those are things that we need to offer. And it can't always just be about me or about Parker. I'm going to keep both of us safe. That's, I think, my top priority is always keeping Parker safe and myself safe. But I also think that it's a bigger picture. There's so much more out there. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of things that we don't get to know, and there's a lot of things that are kept from us because, you know, people can say it's political, or it's this, or it's that, or it's because of this, or it's because of that. And I think things are kept from us because as a human race, we can go crazy. And I feel like the pandemic has shown that we all think the end is coming, and people are literally panicking and living now in fear. Now, what would happen if we all hit the reset button and we said, okay, whether we're in lockdown, we're in quarantine, we're self-isolating, or we're just at home because our kids can't go to school, what if we all just took 15 minutes a day to just talk about anything other than what's happening in today's society? So to say to your children, how are you? How are you feeling? What's going on in that mind of yours? If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you want to go? Let's teach each other how to dream and how to believe and how to build. And let's teach each other how to connect and be genuine. I think that often, like I said earlier, we're clicking on something, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're doing all of these things, we're watching YouTube videos, we're playing video games. We're not actually connecting. So when you're having a phone call with somebody and you're on the phone with them, to be present and in that moment is such a blessing. And it really does allow you to connect and hear the genuineness of the conversation, the genuineness of the relationship. And so, yes, whether we hit a lockdown and we're all under lockdown, or, you know, we're just having to stay at home because our kids aren't able to go to school, or, you know, whatever is happening, whatever it turns into, I think to take those moments, don't talk about what's happening in today's society. Let's teach each other how to dream and how to believe and how to rebuild. And no, it's not about money. And no, it's not about materialistic things. And I'm very grateful for the home that I have, and for the vehicle that I have, and the fact that financially I'm able to provide for my son. I'm very thankful, and every day I give thanks and gratitude for that. But if they took away all my money and they took away my house and my car, if I had my son and my partner and my family and my friends, I can tell you I'd still be as content as I am now. I would miss the things like travel and the ability to see the world, but I would be okay because of the people that I have in my life. And I talk about this with a lot of people in my life because I feel like we often don't think that we're heard, or that like you hear the underlying things. And I tell people to speak their truth. And so I think that with everything going on, this is going to give the human race the opportunity to start speaking their truth, to start reconnecting with fellow humans. And let's start with our families. And, you know, if you're at home by yourself and if something ends up happening, we go into lockdown, maybe you can go stay with a friend and reconnect that way. Our phones aren't going to shut off, so we can still have telephone conversations. We can still do FaceTime. We can still see each other. And for that, I'm thankful for technology. However, I think that it's very important as a race, as a whole, that we all start from the ground and work our way up equally, and to help each other out. So I can tell you that if we went down into lockdown, so for 30 days, let's say, we go into lockdown, which means you're stuck in your house with who's in your house, and that's it. The second they sound that alarm that you can exit your house or send off the news or whatever it is that you can exit your house, I feel like we're going to see a lot of doors open and a lot of people walk onto that street and say hello to their fellow neighbor, or how are you, or is there anything you need? And I think that that is what the reset is to reconnect, to be able to say hi to somebody on the street and not fear them or fear the reaction, to be able to smile at someone or wave at someone, make eye contact with someone. You know, we go to the bank and all of our stuff can be done through a machine. We go to the grocery store. I'm in a rush. I don't want to wait in line, so I'm not actually going to talk to a teller. I'm going to do self-checkout. I get up, I go to the gas station, I prepay at the pump. I don't actually talk to anybody. I go throughout my day. Now I'm blessed because my day is about talking with people and connecting with people sitting in front of me, phone readings, etc. So I'm very blessed because I get connection with humans every day, and every day I'm so thankful for that connection because it does fill me. But there's a lot of people, if you work in an office, or you work from home and you're an accountant or what have you, and there's a lot of people in this world and a lot of business in this world where you don't actually interact with a single human being. You phone your cell phone company and it's all automated. I hit 0 a million times until I can actually talk to a person, because to me, I need to be able to talk to a human. The automation is great. It allows you to, bypass this, that, or the other thing. But in the same sense, I just want to hear a voice. I want to be like, hi, how are you today? And, when they say, is there anything else I can help you with? And I always say, no, just have yourself a blessed day. And it's so nice when I say that. There's a lot of people that react with a breath, because it's almost like they weren't expecting someone to say that to them. And I feel like we've just gotten away from that as a race as a whole. I'm not saying just as North Americans. I'm not saying as Canadians or Americans or, whatever country you're from, Australia, Europe, anywhere. Like, I think as a whole, as the human race as a whole, we have gotten away from connecting with people genuinely. And I think that is what's happening in today's society. And yes, it's scary. I think that because we often live in fear and we worry about what that looks like, and we have so much trauma, I think that we assume that something negative is going to come out of this, or that we assume that this is going to become a frenzy and we panic about it. A lot of times humans make assumptions, and that's normal because we're humans. But in the same sense, as humans, we can change what this looks like. And I think that if we just do it one person at a time, and I'm going to start with myself. Right now, I am currently still seeing people in person, unless obviously I'm taking precaution. I ask that if they're sick or have just traveled to not see me in person, I can do my readings over the phone. But I'm going to start with myself, and I have taken, and I started yesterday after my big prayer and meditation with my son, and sitting down and just asking him kind of what life looks like for him. I said, describe your life to me. And it was interesting because when I told him that school was canceled, most 13-year-olds, myself included at 13, if someone told me school was canceled, I would have been swinging from the ceiling fan, so excited. Didn't love school. And my son actually got quite upset. And I said to him, why are you upset? That's weird. And he said, because Mom, now I'm not going to see anybody. And we have a rule that if he's talking on his video games or he's playing online with his friends, that I ask that they do like a video chat instead of him just being online with random people. And so at least then they can like stop, look at the video, chat with each other, what have you. And for the most part, they do it. Sometimes, you know, it just ends up being a call or what have you, which is fine. I'm not going to argue with him about that. So yesterday when I said, what does your world look like? And he said, it's scary. And I said, why? And he said, because I can't imagine what it's like when I have children. And I was like, okay. So he's 13 thinking about this. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, basically every second being on the planet will be a robot. And I don't know that my child will be able to communicate with humans without going through some form of technology. And I don't know that he's wrong. And that scares me because I can't, you know, we go out and we get puppies or we have, you know, people who can have babies. We've got surrogates, we've got adoption, we've got, you know, people having babies. And now all of a sudden I can go online and order a robot. And he's not wrong when he says that. I'm hoping it's not as quick as he thinks it's going to be. But the fact that my 13-year-old son thinks that every second person that's going to be in his child's classroom is going to be a robot. So this is a thought that's going through a 13-year-old's mind. And to me, that's sad because all he wants, because of how I have raised him, is that human interaction. So he's not happy about the schools being closed down. It has nothing to do with me teaching him. He's just not happy about the schools being closed down. At first I thought he was going to say, because you have to be my teacher. And that was not at all what came out of his mouth. And so we kind of chatted and we continued and then we played cards and then he was playing video games with his friends and away we went. And so in this time when we're shutting down schools and we're having to self-isolate and we're having to communicate about real things. You know, I saw a meme the other day that was actually quite funny. I did laugh. It's not really funny, but I did laugh. And it said something along the lines of, everybody must be crazy because the shopping centers, the grocery stores, all of their non-perishable food items, toilet paper, etc., is gone and we're in this mass frenzy, but yet the liquor stores are full. Do these people not realize that they're going to have to spend the next 30 days potentially with their spouses and their children at home? Why are they not getting liquor? And I laughed because I was like, funny, like that was funny. But then I was like, part of me was excited for those people who get to spend the next 30 days with their spouse or their partner and their children, because they really believe that we can reconnect. We can reconnect as partners, as spouses. We can reconnect as families. You know, there was a time in our lives where we weren't always on the go. And I was on the go as a child, you know, dancing to and from the dance studio. My brother was a hockey player. So we were kind of always going in opposite directions. But I remember Sundays, it didn't matter if the Pope was in town. We had to be at that family dinner, having dinner. Sundays was our family day. And we often, unless something big was happening, we just hung out as a family on Sundays. And I think in today's society, because everything is so go, 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 and schedules are so tight, Sundays have gotten away from us. And the one thing that I can say about Parker and I is we very much are dinner people. So if I have a client that's coming in the evening, I might have dinner ready earlier. Or if I have a client that's coming in right before dinner, I'll have cooked something all day so that as soon as I'm done my client Parker and I can sit at the table. There's only one day a week that we don't sit at the table together, and that is because I'm working with my dance team. Other than that, we sit at the table. And, you know, we sit at the table, we sit down and we serve our food and we give our thanks. And then I say to him, what was the best part of your day and what are you thankful for? And he'll tell me the best part of his day and what he's thankful for. And sometimes he'll say, I don't know. And I'll say, well, find something positive about your day. He always has a million things to be thankful for. So I am grateful that my son knows gratitude and thanks. And I think that by shutting down the world, by basically what it's going to do is it's going to minimalize us to the point where we have to look at our spouse, our partner, our children, and really tune into them, and we're really going to connect. And I think that if we start within our own homes, it's going to just spread, because yes, there's going to be fights. Yes, there's going to be explosive moments. You have potentially 30 days without being able to leave or separate. You know, you can go into one room and another person can go in another room and a few doors are going to slam. And maybe not. Maybe it's if we just choose the peace will come. But I think that it's important that if we're sitting there and we're speaking our truth and we're trusting this journey and trying not to live out of fear, as a family, as families, we will reconnect. And I think that then once the doors open, they sound the alarm, that we can come out of this lockdown or quarantine or self-isolation, whatever this is looking like. I think that people are going to want to connect with other people, because we've just had this beautiful reconnection with our families, and now we can have an incredible reconnection with our neighbor. And yes, there's going to be stuff about politics and why and vaccinations and this and that, and everybody has a right to their opinion. And like I started this video, it is just my opinion. But I firmly believe that this is God's way of resetting us, and resetting us as a human race, resetting us as a whole. And it's not about starting from the ground up at zero. That's not what I meant when I said ground zero, but it's about just, it's the reset. It's taking us back to our factory settings before social media, before any of that, before cell phones, before technology, really reconnecting. So yeah, you can download things and start homeschooling your children, and I think that that's incredible. I am not a teacher, and my son and I are the same person, and if I try and sit down and teach him math or science or social or English, it might get really ugly, but I'm going to teach him life lessons. I'm going to show him about budget. I'm going to teach him about budgeting. I'm going to teach him about bills. I'm going to teach him about love. I'm going to teach him about connection. I'm going to teach him that it's okay to come and talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm going to teach him life skills. And I'm choosing to do that because I would like for this next, however long he's out of school for, to be a peaceful transition. And I know that by teaching him schoolwork, it will not be peaceful. I can tell you that my son will not be on video games all day. He will have screen time. We will be outside as the weather starts to warm, unless we're in lockdown. But I'm going to teach him peace. And in a world that's living off of panic, fear, and frenzy, I'm going to teach my son how to breathe, be peaceful. And if he's looking out his window and he sees somebody across the way, I'm going to teach him to wave and say hello. Because I think it's important that we all reconnect, and that it's not about race, and it's not about status, and it's not about how much money you make or what you do for work or what kind of car you drive. That we are a human race, and we need to reconnect as a race. And as a race, we need to know that we have the ability to rebuild the world together peacefully. And so, I started this program with or this video blog with, look at me thinking I'm a big deal, it's a program, with asking you, with saying that it's called, is she really wearing pants? Yes, I'm wearing pants. But I did that out of humor, and I did that because I want people to listen, and understand that where I'm coming from is a place of love and of peace, and it's not about judgment. And, I believe that we all have the ability to change the world. And I say all the time, I've said it before in my video blogs, I say it daily, my goal is to change the world one person, one soul, one smile at a time, one day at a time. And if I can have as many people share this and as many people hear it, maybe today it'll be the 4 of you in your family, or the 3 of you, or the 2 of you, or maybe it's just you and it's about learning self-love and self-peace and pulling yourself out of ego and out of fear. I use the word greed. I don't know that that's the right word, but I feel like as a whole, as the human race, we're pretty greedy. We always want the best thing, and we always want to be the one who has the not has the best thing. I don't mean that monetarily or materialistically, but it's, who's going to come out with the vaccine first? Doesn't matter, as long as we come out with the vaccine. Who's going to cure us first? Doesn't matter, as long as we're cured. Who's going to do this first? Which government's going to give more money? Da da da. Who cares? So long as we're all willing to help each other out, why does it matter who's doing it first? Who's better? Who's this? Who's that? If we as humans are choosing to help each other, spread peace, love, move forward with grace and dignity, our world as a whole is going to change. And I think that I keep saying, God's pressing the reset button. And I believe this is bigger than what we can even imagine. And I do think that some things are being withheld from us for reasons. I'm not going to go into what I think those reasons are, but I think that things are being withheld from us. I think that as a race, as the human race, we tend to live out of fear and out of panic. And I think if we knew all of the details, we would be very fearful. We would live in that fear and that panic. I also think that the less we know, the better. Because, sometimes the more we know, I think that to educate yourself is important. But the more we know, sometimes we then can just sit in our head and overthink things or overanalyze. So I'm not putting this video out there to, like I say, cause controversy. This is strictly just my opinion. I believe this is God's way of resetting the human race, taking us all back to factory settings. And whether it's building gardens in the summer, or it's saying hello to your neighbor, or it's spreading love and peace and moving forward with grace and dignity, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. What I can tell you is I'm starting with peace and love within my own home. I can tell you that if someone messages me and tells me they need help, if it's something I can help them with, I absolutely will. And even if it's just doing a meditation or prayer for somebody, I think it's important that, we all put in work, we all work very hard, we all try our best, and we need to release that judgment. We can say it's because of this, or because this person traveled here, or that person traveled there. And yeah, it started somewhere. For sure it did. It started somewhere, and it started because of someone or something. But what I can tell you is that maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe we need to give thanks and show gratitude, because as a nation, as a whole, as a human race, we are trying to pull together and find a cure. We are trying to help other people out. I see on our town websites and our town sites on Facebook, I'm heading to Costco. Does anybody need anything? People are offering to help. And that is what the reset's about. It's about resetting and reconnecting. And so, people are worried about a recession. I'm not going to lie, so am I. I don't know what this is going to look like in regards to the economy. And so I say, recession or reconnection. Either way, I think that we're going to reconnect as a human race. And I think that that's what's important. So the recession might be monetarily, but the reconnection and the connection and the fulfillment and the buildup that we're going to receive from the connection of other people and, spiritually, mind, body, and soul, I think is what's going to change this world. So as we move forward, I will continue to pray that everybody feels peace. I will continue to pray that as a world, as a whole, we move through this gracefully. And I will continue to believe that this is God's way of saying, reset the human race back to factory settings. Let us reconnect. Let us reconnect as families. Let us reconnect as friends. Let us reconnect as a race, as a whole. Not just as a country, not just as a province, not just as a continent, but as a whole. And so I'm hoping that today's video allowed you to hear my side of things and kind of what I think, and and maybe allow you to take that breath and to give thanks that we get this extra time with our kids, to give thanks that we get this extra time with people that maybe we wouldn't get that time with, to give thanks for those phone conversations that in any other day might not have happened, but we want to reach out and see how people are doing. Let's reconnect as humans. Let's reconnect as our spirits and our souls, because that's really what we are. This is just our meat suit. You know, we're put here for a reason. And so if I can shed light and help people get through this, I will. And I am planning on video blogging a lot through this, just to kind of stay in tune and to give some people some peace and or whatever they need in that moment. Every day is going to kind of be something different, and I don't know that I'll video blog every day, but I'm definitely going to try and do it quite a bit through all of this, just even if it's just to give some, you know, words of advice or wisdom or whatever we want to call it. Maybe Parker and I will do a video blog together. And I pray that as a nation, as a whole, as a race, that we connect and just enjoy what we have and be thankful for what we've been given, and just trust that, you know, there's something bigger out there that's watching out for us. And so as, you know, businesses have to close down momentarily, or you know, schools are being closed, teachers are still out there trying to get these kids educated. We need to give thanks for those people. We need to give thanks for our medical staff that are still going to work every day. Give thanks at this point to the people who are working in grocery stores and coming in contact with hundreds of people a day. You know, we need to give thanks for all of those things. People who are willing to put themselves in the public like that. Like I said, I'm still doing in-person readings, obviously taking precaution. I am doing phone readings as well. I have some people that are just saying, no, I want to do it on the phone, and I respect that. If there comes a time where I can't do them in person, I will continue to do them over the phone. But I'm also going to take time to self-reflect. So I pray that we move forward with this, like I say, with peace, grace, and dignity. And I pray that everybody just breathes. Don't live out of fear. Don't let that ego come in. Don't panic. Whether you believe in God, a higher power, your maker, Buddha, you know, call it the universe. There's something bigger looking out for us, and I firmly believe that. And I think that, you know, if we can just give thanks every day for what we are, you know, given, the fact that we're breathing right now, and some people aren't. You know, some people took their last breath this morning that didn't know they were going to. And we sit here and we're breathing and we have access to things. I think that's important. And maybe it's just an ear that someone needs to talk to. Be that ear to listen. And just really be present. Be present in your conversations. Be present in your time that you get to spend now with loved ones. Just be really present. Be aware of what they're saying. Listen for the underlying things. And just know that I think we're all going to come out of this okay. And I think as a whole world, we're going to see a huge change. And I think the rest of this year is going to be pretty incredible. And I think that so long as we move forward with peace, grace, and dignity, and not out of fear and ego and panic, I think that we are going to see a lot of peace moving forward. And I think that we're going to be able to reconnect. And I think that after all this is settled, I think our world's going to be a different place. And I think, you know, we're going to get those smiles back and those waves and those hellos, which I think is so important. So I'm going to close out with that. I thank each and every one of you for your support, for continuing to share, continuing to watch. Please know that I am going to try and do this on a regular throughout this year. I do kind of want to get this YouTube thing going. So Christmas was a little tough for me, so I kind of reclused myself for a bit. And then the beginning of this year was also very hard for me. So I'm back. I plan on being back for a while. So I'm not going anywhere. And again, this was just my opinion. I just want people to know that there's hope, and I have hope. I have faith, and I firmly believe that we're going to be okay at the end of this. So take a deep breath, go hug your loved ones, hug your little ones, hug your puppies, hug your kitties, hug whatever animals you have, and just enjoy the time that we're going to get with them, and let's rebuild as a race together and rebuild peacefully. So like I said, I will be back. Much love. God bless. And thank you from the very bottom of my heart for watching and sharing and believing that we'll get through this. So thank you. Have a fabulous evening. I'll be back soon.